I want to have a little bit of a perspective adjustment with work-life balance. It's not about achieving balance. Balance is that first blank. It's not about achieving balance. It's about being fully engaged. I really like Brittany's definition, guys, because a lot of times when people think about work-life balance, what they think is 50-50. As that's one, you're not going to do it. And B, tracking it is near impossible in itself. When we talk about work-life balance, it's about being fully engaged. I would much rather spend 15 minutes fully engaged with my kids than half-ass it for an hour. You guys understand where I'm going with this? It's not about achieving balance, about being fully engaged. The second bullet point, your family, your team, and your clients. Guys, this is a really important revelation to have today. The people that you lead at work and at home and with your clients, they don't need you all the time. That's the next blank. Your people do not need you all the time. But when you're with them, they need all of you. I know a lot of times it feels like we're under the gun and a lot of pressure in residential real estate because they don't need you all the time. But when you're with them, they need your full focus. They need all of you. There's this incredible author. His name is Andy Andrews. If you guys like to read or you guys like to watch speakers, he's a great guy to follow. Andy Andrews said this. This is your third bullet point. He said that traditional marketing is nothing but a penalty you pay for simply not being remarkable. When we say traditional marketing, I mean, you can think really old school with postcards and mailers and handwritten notes and all that kind of stuff. But I would also consider traditional marketing digital marketing these days. Traditional marketing is nothing but a penalty you pay for simply not being remarkable. When you are fully engaged with people that you are working with, and you're able to manage your time to do that, you have the opportunity to be remarkable. Moving to the next part where it says definition of branding. I would like to call on somebody else to tell me what you think branding means. Show of hands, or give me a hand and I'll call on you. Otherwise, I'll just call somebody's name that I see. All right, Jeff Henderson.
I guess branding could mean a whole lot of things. It could mean a logo. It could mean a reputation. It could mean a bunch of different stuff. So I guess everyone kind of has their own brand. And my brand to my clients is that I'm responsive and reachable almost any time of day, any day of the week. And, maybe that doesn't exactly correlate with what you were just saying about when you're with your people, you don't respond. And certainly when I'm with one client, I don't respond. But a lot of times when I am with my family and someone reaches out and has a question, I drop what I'm doing and respond to them. And it has paid off up to this point, but maybe it'll get to a point where I don't have to do that anymore. But I like to think my brand, and it's not something I market, I guess, but that would be something that I consider a brand or my brand.
I like the way that you work through that, Jeff, and I want to comment on a few pieces of it. First of all, being accessible is important. I don't want to negate that. That being said, I'd much rather you prioritize being valuable than being available. And there's a difference between those two things. Just because you're available does not mean you're providing the full value that you're able to provide. The very first thing you said, logo. A lot of times people think, and I love the definition reputation, by the way. That's a great way to define branding, okay? A lot of times when people think branding, they think logo, they think colors, they think graphic design, they think marketing, right? They think that traditional marketing that Andy Andrews said is a penalty you pay for not being remarkable. Quick story for you guys. You guys have heard of the Ritz-Carlton. Head nods if you know what I'm talking about, the hotel chain, right? Pretty awesome hotel experience. You go in, they usually know your name depending on what floor you're on and all these types of things. It's pretty awesome. They have this golden set of standards that they give to all of their employees. Things like knowing the guest's name, greeting them, telling them goodbye, knowing their check-in date. You guys should look it up. It's a really cool set of standards they have for their employees. But then we think about their brand. I don't know if you guys know this, but the Ritz-Carlton, their logo is a severed lion's head on top of a fence post. I don't think that's a very welcoming brand if you defined it as a logo, right? So here, I want to give you guys a new and improved definition of branding. I'd like you to write this down. Your brand is the last interaction you have with a relationship. That's it. So if a client just called me and I was stressed out because I'm multitasking, which by the way, if you pride yourself on multitasking, you're probably not good at managing your time. If I have a client that just called me and I'm trying to multitask and I sound a little bit off the rails, I got a quick temper, those types of things, that is now my brand to them. Your brand is the last interaction you have with the relationship. Now, moving down to the next category where it says money. Show of hands if you like to make money. Everybody? Yeah? Okay. Guys, money is an echo of value. Money is an echo of value. I know we had the whole NAR settlement thing last year. I can tell you right now, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have experienced similar things. On our team, we haven't really had much of an issue with it because money is an echo of value. You provide greater value, you get paid greater money. Money is an echo of value, and one step further, this is the next few blanks, value is an echo of your relationships. Value is an echo of your relationships. Now, we want to be relational, but to be relational and truly in the moment, we've got to be disciplined. A great analogy I heard of this recently is this, and this is very applicable to me personally. We built our house in 2021. We got a big backyard, and I never wanted it fenced in. I thought like the aesthetic wouldn't look very good. I thought it was fun. We had like an invisible fence for the dog. I'm like, what's the point of a fence? My wife would always argue that having the fence actually keeps the kids and the dog contained, and we'd be more relaxed with the fence. I could kind of understand it, but I just didn't see the trade-off. But it's amazing that when we got the fence, because she obviously won that argument, when we got the fence last summer, all of a sudden, we were so much more free because the kids and the dog will go out there and you keep an eye on them, but they're not going to escape the fence, right? It's pretty interesting when you implement a small constraint, you're all of a sudden less constrained. Does that make sense? Right? So we want to be relational but disciplined. And to do that, I want to share with you guys 3 inequalities that we need to keep in mind here. This goes to this acronym ICE. The first one is this: implementation is greater than imagination. Implementation is greater than imagination. You might have some great creative ideas on how you're going to manage your time, but until you implement, it's just an idea. The C, consistency over content. Consistency over content. I get a lot of people who will ask me about meetings. Like, oh man, I'm so worn out on meetings. Like, we just have meetings and meetings and meetings. Meetings suck. Like, no, you suck. The meeting doesn't suck. You suck. And the reason is because we're not consistent with it. When we have consistencies built in, the content will take care of itself. The E, this is the most important one. Effort is greater than excuses. Effort is greater than excuses. We all want to make money. We all want to win. We all want results. But it's the actual effort in doing this that's going to make you and people around you better. 3 reminders as we move on today. This goes on to the next part. Number 1, sales is leadership. If you're in a leadership position, it uses the same characteristics and attributes that sales uses. And by the way, if you're just a realtor, if you're just an agent, you lead clients every single day. You lead the whole ship. You lead the referral partners. You're the captain. Number 2, promptness and organization are choices. These are deliberate choices that you make on a daily basis. If you're the type of person like, I'm just one of those people that's always running late, or I'm just an unorganized person, that's a choice that you make. And number 3, demanding and firm, yet warm and friendly. To explain this, guys, there is this book. It's a parenting book. It's called 1, 2, 3 Magic, okay? And there's a clinical psychologist who wrote this book. And he talks about the three most important things a parent needs to do. They need to control negative behavior, encourage positive behavior, and strengthen the parent-child relationship. Think about this professionally, right? Control negative behavior, encourage positive behavior, and strengthen the relationship. Three pretty important things. The author says to do this, we need to bring in two very competing attitudes: demanding and firm, yet warm and friendly, right? This is relational, but disciplined. Let's move on down to the blueprint. I'm going to give you guys these 3 points to write down, and I'm going to briefly explain before we go to the next page. Number 1, self-discipline. Number 2, team culture. And number 3, everything else. Write those things down, and then I'll dive in. 1, self-discipline. 2, team culture. 3, everything else. Guys, when I say everything else, I'm referring to like contract writing, home inspections, how you go about your business, what, like, that's everything else. That's the X's and the O's, right? Team culture, if you're on a team, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you're working by yourself or you're just thinking about yourself in a real estate transaction, guys, again, you are the captain of the ship. You have to set the tone from the beginning, and you're running your own little team within that transaction, right? Self-discipline, number 1. Without self-discipline, you can't have team culture. Without those two things, nothing else matters. Discipline is synonymous with time management. Let's go to the second page. And I would like a hand here, please. If not, again, I'll call a name that I see on the screen. Someone who hasn't gone through this lesson with me before, please. Could you please raise your hand and tell me how you would define the word integrity? Kyle Holden.
Being honest, being fair.
With some head nods, can I get agreements or shakes if you disagree? Okay, most people agree with that. Kyle, I agree. I think that a lot of times people think about integrity, they think about honesty with self, they think about having a high moral compass. I agree with those things, definitely. I want to be really raw with this, all right? Guys, the words integrity, accountability, commitment, and discipline, they're all the same exact things. Like, who doesn't want those things in their business and in their life and within their teams and within their clients? We all want those things. Here's the raw definition of it. I would love for you guys to write this down. Integrity is doing what you say you're going to do. Plain and simple. That's it. Doing what you say you're going to do. Here's the catch. There's two different people or two different groups we have to serve in this mission of fulfilling integrity. On a scale of 1 to 10, I want you guys to write down a number. How often do you do what you say you're going to do for other people? Think about your clients, your teammates, your friends, your family. How often do you do what you say you're going to do for other people? 1 being the least, 10 being the most. Just write down a number. Don't overthink it. Again, give me some head nods on this, please. If you are over a 5, nod your head. Good. You should be. You're in the service business, okay? If you're not a 10, I hope you're just being humble. The reason you do this is because you serve other people. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, how often do you do what you say you're going to do for you? Show me your hand if that number was lower than the first number. Okay, just about everybody. Guys, this is discipline 101. You can't lead by example if you can't lead yourself. You guys know who Deion Sanders is? My brother always likes to say he either loves them or he hates them. Like, he's either all in on them one day or all out the next day. And I can't agree more with that. But here's Deion Sanders' famous quote. If you look good, you feel good. If you feel good, you play good. And if you play good, they pay good. Right? If you feel good, you play good. And if you play good, they pay good. Guys, I think this is a really relevant question when you're in business for yourself, what you are as a realtor. What makes you feel good? What puts you on your game? Your clients expect you to be at your best when you talk to them. They expect you to be fully engaged. What makes you feel good to get to that point? And see, the thing is, when we look ourselves in the mirror and we say, well, I do what I say I'm going to do for everybody else, but there's just never enough time for myself. Guys, we've got to move that number up on the second scale. Next topic here. What your clients want. The next blank is this. Energy is contagious. Energy is contagious. When you have more enthusiasm, not only about what you do, but who you are, you're more likely to get the results that you want. Remember the definition of branding. It's the most recent interaction you have with the client, right? Second bullet point. Captivated people are captivating. Sounds silly. Think through it. Captivated people are captivating. Let's go back to Deion Sanders for a second. That dude is captivated, no matter which way you cut it. Guys, when we're fully engaged and we're talking with and speaking with clients and business partners in our team, 3 points to write down here. Here's how we need to handle this. And this is directly applicable to managing your time. Number one, we need to simplify. Don't overcomplicate this matter. We need to simplify. Number two, we need to internalize it. We need to be captivated by it. And number three, we got to deliver. Simplify, internalize, deliver. When we manage our time appropriately, we're able to do this much easier. Okay. Last blank on this page, and we'll go to the next. Here are the blanks. Stop educating, start inspiring. Stop educating, start inspiring. I'm going to call on the venture president of Talent First, Nate Smith, to explain what this means, please.
Well, it goes back to the energy and captivation piece. You can educate someone all you want, but does that mean that they're going to follow you? Are they going to listen to you? Are they going to be captivated by you? So to me, that's what the stop educating and start inspiring means, being that example.
Thank you, Nate. Guys, do I think it's important to be educated on the market and the interest rates and the inventory and the pricing and all the other crap? Of course I do. Yes. But I don't think that's what your clients really want from you. They want somebody they can trust. They want somebody whose energy is contagious. Next page, we're on Sales 101 here. Here is the coolest and the most challenging part about the real estate industry. If you do not have leads, you will fail. That is as blunt as we can put it. If you don't have leads, you're not going to make it. Simple as that. I don't know what the market's going to do. I haven't known what the interest rate is for 5 years. I got no idea. But what I do know is that if you don't have leads, you're going to fail. Prioritizing relational lead generation effectiveness. Guys, that first bullet point. Number one, face-to-face. I have an asterisk on this. This right here, this virtual setting, I would consider this a poor man's face-to-face. I do believe that this is more effective than a phone call. I do. But it's still not the best. Don't use the virtual setting as an excuse when meeting in person is realistic. Body language, tone, overall feel, it's real. Number one, face-to-face. Number two, voice-to-voice, or you can write phone call. Either of those things are fine. Face-to-face, phone call. Number three, text message. And number four, email. All sounds pretty obvious. And I'm sure you got things running through your head like, oh, well, some clients just don't answer the phone. I can't really argue that. I'm with you in a lot of scenarios. But more often than not, you're going to get more done voice-to-voice or face-to-face. So maybe use a text to set up the phone call, right? Or maybe you send a text and follow up to confirm something, or an email to confirm something. But in terms of effectiveness and generating business, face-to-face, voice-to-voice, text, then email. We're going to take these into consideration when we set up your new time blocks. Next bullet point, generating business, moving from left to right. This is how all sales works. All sales works in this manner. Number one, you're going to organize. We're in the arrow now, by the way, to get your bearings straight on that sheet. We're going to organize. When I say organize, guys, included in this is like, excuse my language, getting your shit together, your database, your contacts, your call list. Part of organization could be texting people to set up a phone call. So number one, organized. A better phrase is getting your shit together. Number two, voice to voice, the phone call piece, right? I'm going to make this very applicable in a second. Number three, face to face. And then four, you're going to anchor that relationship down. Guys, think about this. If you're making COI calls just to set appointments, we're going to organize our list. We're going to pick up the freaking phone. We're going to make the phone calls. Then we're going to set that coffee appointment or that lunch appointment or that pop by or the happy hour or the dinner or the breakfast or whatever. Then we're going to anchor that sucker down. When I say anchor, quite literally what I mean is a handwritten note. I think it's a wonderful way to anchor relationships. It could be an email recap of the conversation. But guys, this whole thing, it works in a loop. We're going to organize. We're going to make calls. We're going to set appointments. We're going to anchor the relationship down. This is how generating business works. When we set up our calendars, we need to keep this in mind. Okay? Two little notes and reminders here at the bottom. If you don't ask, the answer is always no. Anybody and everybody who works at Hometown Realty knows that no one lives that better than Mike Chenault. If you don't ask, the answer is always no. And the second one there is this: stories sell, but competence closes. Stories sell, but competence closes. Here's why I put this on here, guys. This may seem contradictory to stop educating, start inspiring, right? Guys, when you're making the calls, don't worry about what you know or you don't know. Stories sell, relate to them. And then when you actually get an appointment, if you've never sold a house before, you got a buyer or a seller, bring in a mentor that has competence about what's going on, and they're very likely to help you. This is how Hometown was built. It's okay to ask for help. All right. Into the topic of the hour, time management. Synonym, I've said this time and time again, a synonym for time management is, in fact, discipline. Discipline. Jeff Henderson, I'm going to hit one of the things that you said earlier in this next section here. The 3 E's of time blocking. For starters, let me get a hand here. Can somebody explain what time blocking is? Zach Broadus.
Sure, I would say time blocking would be like picking an activity and putting it on your calendar. Let's say 10 p.m. or I mean 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. I'm gonna text prospects and then treating it as if it's a meeting with somebody. So you keep that appointment with yourself as if you were going to meet with somebody. You show up on time, you stay the whole time, you're attentive and involved the whole time.
Great job. Completely agree. Completely agree. Guys, a time block has a start time and an end time, and it's dedicated to a specific task. That's exactly right. I'll also use the word staple as a synonym with time blocking. I'll come back to that. 3 E's of time blocking. Here we go. Number 1, environment block. Environment block. Larry, could you explain to us what environment blocking is, or what you perceive it to be?
I believe environment blocking is putting yourself in an optimal setting to get whatever it is done that you want to get done.
Fantastic. Awesome. Guys, it's priming your environment for the type of work that you want to accomplish. You're not going to execute a call block in the middle of Starbucks at 9:30 a.m., right? Number 2, exaggerate time. Exaggerate time. And by the way, for those who can't spell, 2 G's and exaggerate, it's not 2 X's, it's not 2 R's, it's just 2 G's. Here's what I mean by exaggerate time. Hometown University is a time block. starts at 1 o'clock. We block it till 2 o'clock. Many times it doesn't go all the way to 2 o'clock. But unless something is extremely pressed or an emergency and you're dedicated to training and bettering yourself, scheduling a 2 o'clock meeting is probably not in your best interest. You know it's going to last an hour or less, but scheduling something on the hour wouldn't be exaggerating time. Always schedule for a little bit more than you think you need. Guys, ever since I can remember, our team has had a team meeting on Mondays at 9 a.m. It's blocked in my calendar till 10. It has never lasted until 10 a.m. So what happens is a lot of times people are like, Ben, do you have like built-in blocks for emails? And when do you do your emails? And when do you return voicemails? And I don't have blocks for that. It's just flex time everywhere because everything's exaggerated. Be very attentive to this when you're putting blocks in your calendar. The third E, Jeff, going back to what you said earlier, the third E is expectation setting. I'll use our team meeting as an example again. Obviously, guys, like emergencies are a factor. It could be a factor with all these things, okay? Like family emergencies, personal emergencies. Ever since my wife and I have known each other, she knows that Mondays at 9 o'clock, I'm with my team. The expectation's set, right? Whether you're setting expectations with your family, your friends, your clients, your teammates, your lenders, whatever it might be, have the expectation set. They're going to respect your time. Zach Broadus mentioned this, and I love it. Guys, an appointment with yourself is still an appointment. You can say no to things. If Larry says, hey, Benjamin, can you meet up and do X, Y, and Z? And let's say that I plan to have a call block from 10 to 12. All I have to say is, sorry, Larry, can't make that one. Here's another time. You think he's going to dive into it and say, dude, well, what are you doing? Like, this is so much more. No, I have an appointment. It's a prior commitment. This is about committing to doing what you say you're going to do for you and your business. Environment block, exaggerate time and expectation setting. Last bullet point, guys. If it's not in your calendar, it does not exist. If it's not in your calendar, it does not exist. Remember, promptness and organization are choices. They're choices. If it's not in your calendar, it doesn't exist. Let's move on to the next page. Okay. Guys, this is the stapled calendar. I'm going to give you these blanks, and then I'm going to give you about 3 minutes to jot some notes down. I'll give you some examples, and we'll move on. I'll give this to you guys as homework. Here are the blanks under the stapled calendar. The first one is daily, so daily staples. Weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annually. Daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annually. Could you have biannually in there? Yeah. Could you have twice weekly in there? Yes, of course. You can have other types of staples in there. These are just the most common. Okay. I've separated this between home/family and work. I want to give you guys an example of a daily staple at home. I wake up in the morning, I drink water, and I brush my teeth. That's a daily staple. And I would hope it's for you guys too, right? Maybe a weekly, well, here's an easy weekly staple at work for you guys would be Hometown University. It's every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Guys, we've tried so many different things with training at Hometown. And the reason this is stuck is because the expectation is set and it's a staple. It's every Wednesday at 1 p.m. I know that people have different schedules, teams, family lives, personal lives, all that kind of stuff, but a little bit of a word to the wise. If you are someone who says, I'm going to do something bi-weekly, meaning every other week, I would strongly consider either committing to monthly or weekly. And here's why. When you do bi-weekly, something's going to fall on a bad date. You're going to reschedule it. It's never going to be consistent. Make it weekly or make it monthly. Okay. I want you guys to take 3 minutes to yourselves, please. I'll time this so we can get back to it. I want you to write down some ideas of staples. And if you have questions, jot them down. We'll fire it back up here in a second, and I'll see if I can answer them for you. Take about 3 minutes. Let's fill this chart out. All right. So anybody have any questions, comments? Would anybody like to share? If you have something to say, you got a question, raise your hand. If not, we'll keep rolling. Okay. Here's what I'd like you guys to do. On the sheet that you have right here, the very last bullet point says action step. Here's what I'd like you to write down. Put these staples in your calendar. I realize how elementary this sounds. But if you keep telling yourself that you need to make more calls, you need to set more coffee appointments, you need to do more pop buys, but they're not in your calendar, it does not exist. We're not in a fly by the seat of your pants type of industry. Money is an echo of value. Put yourself in positions to provide value. This is a real profession. It's a full-time, all the time type of thing. All right. I want to go back up these 2 bullet points, the most important day. Guys, which I know a lot of you guys are familiar with these schools. I played football at Hampton Sydney, and I know there's a lot of Macon guys as well at hometown. You know, Hampton Sydney and Randolph-Macon have this pretty awesome rivalry in sports, particularly in football. It's a very highly attended game for a Division III school, and it's really, really exciting. Something that has always, quite frankly, pissed me off is when you get guys on either side, they're like, man, if we go 1-9, but we just beat Randolph-Macon, it's a good year. Like, no, it's not. That sucks. That's 9 losses, right? If we spend all of our time worried about the 10th game of the year, we're going to miss what's right under our nose. Nick Saban, who's retired now, coached Alabama, he says that all of us are a little bit addicted to tomorrow, right? Like, I'll start working out tomorrow, or I'll quit smoking tomorrow, or whatever it is. Guys, if we want to execute, we want to be disciplined with our time to provide greater value, we have to figure out a way to get addicted to now, addicted to today. There's a lot of stuff behind us to worry about. There's a lot of stuff ahead of us to worry about. There's a lot of things behind us to learn from, be sad about, be happy about, celebrate. There's a lot of things in the future to be excited about. But if we don't take care of right now, none of it matters. The most important day will forever be today. That's the bullet point, that first bullet point. The most important day is today. The second bullet point is this. Again, sounds elementary. And if you haven't done it, I would encourage you, please, to give it a shot. The best way to execute on today is with a handwritten schedule. The best way to execute on today is with a handwritten schedule. Before today is over, got all my crap crossed off. And if I didn't get it crossed off, I'm going to move it over to the next day. And I'm going to write down my game plan for tomorrow. Now I can go home and be fully engaged with a clear head because my day's already prepped. You don't go into the Saturday kickoff not having a game plan for the game. Guys, every day is game day. When you put your pen or your pencil to paper on tomorrow's schedule, now you're fully prepared. It's the best way to execute on today. So I would add this as an action step, as a very easy, simple action step. Write your schedule down for tomorrow. Just try it, please. And I would consider adding this as one of those daily staples, is prep tomorrow. Before we start to close this thing out, guys, I want to mention one other thing. And I referenced this a little bit earlier. When it comes to time management and integrity and discipline and all these things, there's a really big, scary word that a lot of us are afraid of. It's really easy to spell. It goes like this. N-O. No. It's okay to say no to things. I'm not encouraging that you are so rigid that you can't do anything fun. I'm just encouraging that a little bit of structure actually provides you more freedom and more flexibility and allows you to be fully engaged. Okay. Let's go to the last page, please. All right. Guys, this is a cool little chart that I got from an author named Bob Rotella. Bob Rotella is a sports psychologist. He's coached over 70 major golf champions. A big part of his belief system, a big part of what he teaches and coaches his golfers on is positivity and optimism. If you like to read, he's got some incredible books. They're not all golf-based, but a lot of them are. He calls this thing the virtuous circle. Learned effectiveness is what he calls it. Learned effectiveness. I'm going to give you guys the blanks, and then I'm going to explain. The top left-hand corner, I want you to write the word optimism. Top left-hand corner, write the word optimism. And if you don't have this printed out, by the way, this moves in a circle. It's a continuous circle. So in the top left-hand corner of that circle, write the word optimism. And there's an arrow going over to the next one. Top right, I want you to write confidence. That's confidence with an F. Optimism to confidence. Then the arrow comes down to the bottom right corner. I want you to write the word persistence. Persistence. You could also write the word action if you wanted to. And then finally, to close this loop, bottom left-hand corner, I want you to write the word results. You could also write success. You could also write money. You could also write transactions, whatever you want. Results. Let me see here. Looking at the virtuous circle, let's go to either Croco or Skylar over there at the Ashland office. Looking at the virtuous circle, which definitely does not come first?
Results.
Yeah.
Perfect. Everybody agree with that. The results do not come first in this, right? Here's the cool thing about the virtuous circle. You can start with any of these, any of the other three. You can start with just having blind optimism. If you have that, hell yeah, good for you. But a lot of times we become optimistic by achieving something, right? You can start with confidence. If you're good at the whole inner self-love thing and you have the confidence and you know the value that you provide, you can start there too. Good for you. And there's ways to work on that. If you're like me, and a lot of times you struggle with the optimism or the confidence, the one guaranteed way to start is with persistence, with action. Meaning that if all of this crap sounds like BS to you, start by writing your schedule down for tomorrow, just with one small thing, just a little bit of action. Game plan tomorrow, right? There is, head nod if you would. Tell me if you've heard of the word agape before. Heard of the word agape? A lot of times they talk about it with love. Agape love is usually how it's said, okay? Quick lesson for you guys. The New Testament in the Bible was originally written in Greek. And there were many different words to describe the multifaceted phenomenon of love. Many different words. But the word that Jesus used for love was agape. Here's the kicker about the word agape. Agape is not a love of feeling or emotion. Agape is a love of behavior or choice. Remember, promptness and organization are choices. Agape is a love of behavior or choice. And this leads into the very last fill in the blank. Guys, you are more likely to act yourself into a feeling than you are to feel yourself into action. You are more likely to act yourself into a feeling than you are to feel yourself into action. If you sit around all day long, you're like, man, I just can't wait till I feel optimistic to do this. Man, I really hope that today the confidence comes. Good luck. Possible. You don't have a lot of control over it. You are way more likely to act yourself into feeling one of those ways. Okay? All right. Look at that. We exaggerated time. We were 45 minutes. You got 15 minutes of flex time. Does anybody have any questions for me? If you do, raise your hand, send me a chat, whatever. And if you don't, I hope you enjoyed today. And if you have any feedback for me, I am appreciative of that.